In today's video, we are going to do two things. First, we'll review the titles added to the PlayStation Plus Extra, Deluxe, and Premium catalogs on the 18th of February. And the second thing we are going to do is to review certain news and current events related to the PlayStation Plus service and the Day 1 games arriving in the PlayStation Plus Extra catalog during this 2025, because it seems that Sony might be testing things. Well, I won't advance game summary and then news. Let's go for it. All the video games we are going to talk about next will be available in the PlayStation Plus Extra, Deluxe, and Premium catalog from February 18th. And we're going to start with this video game, with the one you're seeing on screen, which by the way is the most important release of this month on the service. What you're seeing on screen is Jedi Survivor, the sequel and direct continuation of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. A title that was once part of the PlayStation Plus Extra catalog, but unfortunately is no longer available. This title is a third-person action-adventure game developed by Respawn Entertainment. Its main feature is a quite demanding but very satisfying combat and a good amount of exploration. The video game's story follows Cal Kestis, a Jedi who continues his fight against the Empire. 5 years after the events of the first video game, this title provides a summary of the story of what happened in that first game. So if you didn't play it, you can jump into this game without any problems. However, the Jedi Fallen Order, the first title, introduces key characters and important events that directly impact this sequel. So I would recommend that you at least get up to speed with what happened in the first game. Beyond the summary that they offer you in this second installment, like many other stories within the Star Wars universe, the story of Jedi Survivor can be perfectly enjoyed without knowing too much about Star Wars. However, the more you know about the world, or at least the more you know about the first game, the more you are going to enjoy this second installment, since this game is built directly on the first one. Regarding combat and gameplay, the second installment evolves a lot from the first game, offering us a much deeper combat, even larger worlds, complemented by a slightly more mature and perhaps darker story. If you loved the first one, you'll adore this one. If you skipped the first one, what were you thinking? Try this one, you might end up liking it, and then you can play the first one. In my personal opinion, this one is better than the first. Top Spin was on hold for 13 years, until last year when Doska 25 arrived. A video game that aims to bring realistic tennis simulation back to consoles and PC. This game includes a career mode, where you can typically create your own tennis player and compete in the world ranking against other renowned tennis players. You have local multiplayer and online multiplayer, also typical of any sports game, and you have official tournaments like Wimbledon and Roland Garros. Create and improve your own tennis player with a customization system typical of all sports games. One thing to note about Top Spin 2025 is that beyond being a typical sports game, which I think I made clear, it is not at all a difficult game to approach. It's not like one of the Madden or NBA games where if you don't know much about the sport, it's difficult. Top Spin is easy, it's simple, it gives you many tutorials and also has several assistance options. And about the difficulties of artificial intelligence? So you can set it to your level if your level is a very basic one and you can learn to play it little by little. It's not bad to have a different sports option than Fédération Internationale de Football Association installed on the Play, to play when someone visits or for a few matches. It's 1900. 95 and 4 teenagers become inseparable during a summer in the fictional city of Velvet Cove, until one fine day a paranormal event will change their lives forever. This is the premise of this video game, a 90s narrative adventure from the creators of Life is Strange, and it's called Lost Records Bloom and Rageful. The narrative and emotional style characteristic of Life is Strange is the style of this video game, because they go directly to the same thing. Making decisions that affect the story and a strong focus on the narrative and emotional All of that complemented with a little bit of 90s nostalgia. The title takes place in two timelines. One is in 1995 and the other is in 2022. And it's going to tell us the story of how these friends evolved their lives from that summer of 1995. This is the first episode of the saga, and the second episode will also be within PlayStation Plus Extra. I'm telling you in case you get hooked with this first title. If what you like are classic Japanese-style RPGs, this title is going to be a must-have. That is, if you haven't played it yet. Saga Frontier is a Japanese role-playing game that was released in 1997 for the PlayStation. One developed by what was then Square, which would later become Square Enix. And it was the 7th game in the Saga series, but the first video game in this series to reach home consoles. And what you're seeing is the remaster with new sprites, a new character, and even a fast mode to play it quicker. Somerville is a science fiction and adventure video game developed by Shamship, a studio formed by former creators of Inside and Limbo. Somerville tells the story of a family trying to survive after an alien invasion that has devastated the Earth and left it in ruins. The title is played from a cinematic and very minimalist perspective, with a narrative without dialogues, only with actions that tell us the adventures and misadventures of this family as they try to survive. The game includes platform mechanics and puzzle solving, with a lot of emphasis on exploration and stealth. And while it may seem like a very simple game, it is a very deep game with a powerful narrative. If you liked Inside, if you liked Limbo, you're going to like this title, because it goes for the same thing. Side-scrolling, some puzzles, some stealth parts, some platforming, interaction with the environment, and a story that tells itself. The game lacks lengthy cutscenes, dialogue options, and character creation. You start your adventure, it unfolds linearly, and it ends. And in fact, it does so in a pretty good time of about 5 hours. It's a video game that you can play just like Limbo or Inside. In a weekend, instead of watching 5 or 6 episodes of a series, you play this title and that's it. Team Hearts is a puzzle and narrative adventure video game developed by Raw Sun, a studio formed by former Fable developers. In this title, we control a group of toy soldiers, in a series of levels full of obstacles and puzzles. And the main mechanic of the game is to guide the soldiers to their destination by placing and manipulating objects in the environment. As we solve these puzzles, a story is told that takes us through the Victorian house, where the inventor of these little dolls and these little things lived. The title supports all this puzzle mechanic in an emotive and mysterious narrative. It has a beautiful artistic style, it has very relaxing music, and in fact, it is a title focused on you being chill while playing these puzzles and living this story. If you like Lemmings-style games, or why not logic or puzzle games, then this title will interest you. Morhao is an online multiplayer, just as well could be Counter-Strike or Valorant, for example, but with swords. Here you don't have machine guns, you have swords, maces and shields. Here you don't have war tanks, you have horses, and here you don't have military bases, you have castles. This is a first-person melee combat title, which also has the option to be played in third person. And it's focused on pseudo-realism and skill. I call it pseudo-realism because it's quite fantastical despite what happens. You can play in various modes. For example, massive battles of up to 64 warriors, one-on-one duels, sieges to castles or bases, team fights, skirmishes, and other types of game modes most common in online multiplayer. The combat system allows you to make heavy, precise attacks, blocks, and even parries. You can extensively customize your character's armor, weapons, and more. On PC. Nowadays, this video game has about 1,000 people playing daily. That is, you can find a game relatively quickly now on consoles. I have no idea how many people are playing this. I don't even know if you're going to find a game quickly or not. Maybe it's good to play with friends, maybe to play online and a quick game or something like that. It might not be good, I don't know. The list was short, wasn't it? These are the PlayStation Plus extra games. Yes, these. No more. They are the ones that are added on the 18th. Next, we have two more games, which are the PlayStation Plus Premium Deluxe ones, that is the retro ones. First of all, we have Patapon 3, a rhythm and strategy game developed by the now closed Japan studios and published by Sony. Originally released in 2011 for the PlayStation Portable. And then we have Dropship, a tactical air and ground combat shooter originally released in 2002 for the PlayStation 2. A game set in the future, where we are part of a military organization tasked with neutralizing global threats. Or just another Play 2 game? These two games fall as part of the retro catalog of Premium Deluxe. Well, how's it going? How do they see it? It's strange that the Premium update is cut. There are good games like Top Spin and 2025. Or 2K25 is new. The Jedi Survivor is a good game, Somerville is also a great short game, but it's a great game. And the one from Lost Records? Personally, I don't like the Life is Strange at all, but it's still a premiere day one. I think it's not bad. Put me in the comments what you think. Let's move on to the news section. Since the launch of PlayStation Plus Extra, the release policy on this service was very clear. They are not going to include day one games, nor are they going to make releases on this service. Because Sony considers that to be counterproductive, at least with their own PlayStation Studios games. But since Stray, the Stray Kitten game was launched, there have been several tests with releases. Day one inside PlayStation Plus Extra, let's see how it goes for the video games. There was Stray, there was Tekea, there was Meet Your Maker, and even Sea of Stars was there. This was the first title to be launched day one on PlayStation Plus, at the same time as on Game Pass. A quite interesting experiment. And I also believe Moving Out 2 was there, if I'm not mistaken, and if I remember correctly. It also launched day one on PlayStation Plus. Well, it seems that the trend this year is going to continue being the same, and that Sony is going to keep trying to launch video games day one on PlayStation Plus Extra. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it turns out. The first one we have confirmed for this 2025 is perhaps the most interesting of those we have confirmed. And at the same time, it's one of those particular video games that I know not everyone is going to be interested in. This is Blueprints, and it's a puzzle video game, but it's built in a very particular way. It turns out that in this video game we inherit a mansion, and we have to find a certain mysterious room within this place. The problem is that every time we start to explore the mansion, the rooms keep changing and our route is never the same. And to move on from each room, we have to solve the puzzles. It's a strange game, one of those that, as I said, not everyone's going to be interested in, but it's a game after all. Day one on PlayStation Plus, which has just been confirmed. When? We don't know the release date yet, but it will be available on the service from day one. In Ambiotic Factor, is it a scientist or something like that trapped in a research complex after a containment catastrophe? And the goal here is to survive the confrontation of paranormal entities, interdimensional invasions, and even a military sect that's out there causing havoc. To survive in this place, you have to explore, collect resources, craft tools, weapons, build shelters, and all that. And of course, you have to do it in a group of up to 6 players. The title is already available right now on Steam in early access. But it launches this year on consoles precisely in May. And it's going to be released on day one on PlayStation Plus. Last year, on PlayStation Plus Extra, 5 video games were launched, day one on the service. This year, we already have 2 confirmed. Perhaps if this turns out well, if it generates some interest and attracts players to the service. Later on, let's start having more day one games on PlayStation Plus Extra, which we already know is important. In fact, day one games on Game Pass are the main lever for attracting subscribers to the service. And I was forgetting that we also have the confirmation of the multiplayer, this Control one that is going to come out. I don't remember if it's going to come out this year or when it's going to come out. It's also launching on PlayStation Plus day one, which we have confirmed. The thing is that it's still kind of in the middle of nowhere, but when it comes out, it's going to be day one on the service. Starting from January 2026, Sony will focus directly on PlayStation 5. For the benefits of PlayStation Plus, including the Extra, Deluxe, and Premium tiers. That is, there will no longer be PlayStation 4 games next year on this service. And somehow they have to keep generating interest, so that all those who perhaps will no longer pay for Plus having PS4 will. they would want to pay for it having PS5, right? Day one games could become an interesting strategy. And finally, I want to mention that all PSplus subscribers are receiving an extra 5 days of subscription due to last week's server outage. Do you remember that last weekend the PlayStation network was down for more than a day? Well, Sony says, you know what, here's $5, here's 5 days for you to play whatever you want. If you were already a subscriber, right, of the service, maybe it would be good if they came out and issued an apology, right? That they do something, a little bit, a small extra effort, or that they say what happened and if data, users, or what were leaked. Nothing much. 5 good days so far. What do you think, friends? That summarizes the PlayStation Plus extra games for February. If you liked the video, of course, support it by giving a good like. And if you want and feel like it, subscribe to the channel. We are here daily uploading videos about video games, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and soon Nintendo Switch. Friends, thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.